The Diary of Samuel Pepys, 2nd of January, 1661. Up early, and being called up to my lord, he did give me many commands in his business, as about taking care to write to my uncle that Mr. Barnwell's papers should be locked up, in case he should die, he being now suspected to be very ill. Also about consulting with Mr. William Montague for the settling of the £4,000 a year that the king had promised my lord, as also about getting of Mr. George Montague to be chosen at Huntington this next Parliament. That done, he to Whitehall stairs with much company, and I with him, where we took water for Lambeth, and there coach for Portsmouth. The Queen's things were all in Whitehall Court, ready to be sent away, and Her Majesty ready to be gone an hour after to Hampton Court tonight, and so to be at Portsmouth on Saturday next. I by water to my office, and there all the morning, and so home to dinner, where I found Poll, my sister, was come. But I do not let her sit down at table with me, which I do at first that she may not expect it hereafter from me. After dinner I went to Westminster by water, and there found my brother Spicer at the Leg with all the rest of the Exchequer men, most of whom I now do not know. Here I stayed and drank with them, and then to Mr. George Montague about the business of election, and he did give me a piece in gold. So to my lord's, and got the chest of plate brought to the Exchequer, and my brother Spicer put it into his treasury. So to Will's with them to a pot of ale, and so parted. I took a turn in the hall and bought the King and Chancellor's speeches at the dissolving the Parliament last Saturday. So to my lord's, and took my money I brought thither last night, and the silver candlesticks, and by coach left the latter at Alderman Backwell's, I having no use for them, and the former home. There stood a man at our door, when I carried it in, and saw me, which made me a little afeard. Up to my chamber, and wrote letters to Huntingdon, and did other business. This day I lent Sir William Batten and Captain Ryder my chine of beef for to serve at dinner tomorrow at Trinity House. The Duke of Albemarle being to be there, and all the rest of the brethren, it being a great day for the reading over of their new charter, which the King hath newly given them. The 3rd of January, 1661. Early in the morning to the Exchequer, where I told over what money I had of my lord's and my own there, which I found to be £970. Thence to Will's, where Spicer and I ate our dinner of a roasted leg of pork, which Will did give us, and after that to the theatre, where was acted Beggar's Bush, it being very well done, and here the first time that ever I saw women come upon the stage. From thence to my father's, where I found my mother gone by Bird the carrier to Brampton, upon my uncle's great desire, my aunt being now in despair of life. So home. There's a slight note to that. Downes does not give the cast of this play. After the Restoration, the acting of female characters by women became common. The first English professional actress was Mrs. Coleman, who acted Ianthe in Davenant's Siege of Rhodes at Rutland House in 1656. The 4th of January, 1661. Office all the morning, my wife and Paul being gone to my father's to dress dinner for Mr. Honeywood, my mother being gone out of town. Dined at home, and Mr. Moore with me, with whom I had been early this morning at Whitehall, at the jewel office, to choose a piece of gilt plate for my lord, in return of his offering to the King, which it seems is usual at this time of year, and an earl gives 20 pieces in gold in a purse to the King. I chose a gilt tankard, weighing 31 ounces and a half, and he is allowed, very tired, and he is allowed 30, so I paid 12 shillings for the ounce and a half over what he is to have. But strange it was for me to see what a company of small fees I was called upon by a great many to pay there, which I perceive is the manner that courtiers do get their estates. After dinner, Mr. Moore and I to the theatre, where was The Scornful Lady acted very well, it being the first play that ever he saw. Thence with him to drink a cup of ale at Hercules Pillars, and so parted. I called to see my father, who told me by the way how Will and Mary Joyce do live a strange life together, nothing but fighting, so that sometimes her father has a mind to have them divorced. Thence home. As another note to that, several of the jewel officers' rolls are in the British Museum. They recite all the sums of money given to the king, and the particulars of all the plate distributed in his name, as well as gloves and sweetmeats. The museum possesses these rolls for the 4th, 9th, 18th, 30th, and 31st for Elizabeth, for the 13th Charles I, and the 23rd, 24th, 26th, and 27th of Charles II.